Good morning everyone and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. In our last episode we were started to work on the guns. We'd put 23 away and we'd just taken all of 24's stuff off the sprue. It needed to be cleaned. It's now been cleaned and now it can go away in the box with the other stuff. So now they're all away, let's get on to section 25. We need to make 4 of these. They look like slightly smaller guns. Only 3 pieces each this time, so we'll get those all out. I'll just quickly show you me cutting these off. I'm leaving a bit extra on this piece, only because it was a bit hard to get in there. And these ones, of course, I'm chopping them off right on the very end. So there's those pieces there. And we also need D194 up here. We need 4 of those. So there's all our parts. Let's get them all cleaned up. We don't really have to clean these up because they kind of go inside of this anyway, so don't worry about this too much. They were only ever connected by the back piece, so that actually made the job a little bit easier. But there's all our parts cleaned up. Let's put them in another compartment and we'll do the same with these. We'll paint the top of these a darker colour grey. Maybe the whole lot or just a square here, just to make them a little bit, just make them stand out a little bit more. So we'll put them in their box with their corresponding number. Oh, I thought I should just mention that. Now, when I put them in a box, I put them in their own compartment with the corresponding page section that we're up against. So that was section 25. So I put a tag on that 25 in that section. So I can basically look at that and know at a glance, these came from 25. I can go back to 25 on the drawing and say, yep, that's exactly what I need to do. Okay, last but not least, we have the section 26 here. We need to make 2 of these. I don't know why they're a little different, but they seem to be. Yeah, they are different actually. Yeah, 196, they're different. So there's our pieces off. We'll just clean them up a little bit and we'll do the same again. And this time I'll show you what I do. I'll put the corresponding number in there. So basically that's how it'll go in that little box compartment. I have the 24 compartment box. So this will go in its own compartment with all the pieces that I need for this for section 26. So anytime I need to come back, I can go, right, what did I have to do in section 26? Oh, let's leave that there. Okay, turning the page now, we have section 27 and 28. We need 4 of each. We'll do one at a time and we'll put them in the corresponding box as well. An awful lot of firepower on this ship, I've noticed. There's an awful lot of guns. Not that I'm disappointed, like, yeah, going up against this thing, yeah, it was a tank. So there's 27 all done and cleaned up, so we'll put that in the box as well. So there's our 28s all done and cleaned up, and we'll put them in the box also. Well, the plans state on page 11 that all those guns are to be fitted now. I would suggest not, because they're very easy to add later on. Because we don't know we're going to turn the ship upside down or whatever we're going to do. So, you know, it's nice just to have them known that they're painted and whatever. We can sit down one afternoon and paint the tops of those, no problem at all. So what I'm going to suggest is to skip this page at the moment and then come back to it. So section 31 on the next page, there's all a bunch of lifeboats here, some other bits and pieces. I'm going to suggest, because we're going light with everything else, we can take most of these parts off and we'll put that in our dark container to be painted. Yeah, I think so. And the boats, well, you can paint them separately, I would say. Let's take the holders off and put them in the dark, and we'll keep the boats completely separate. Now, we need to keep an eye on whether these boats vary too much. This one already has a hole in the top and this one doesn't. So we're going to have to put them in a separate container with the markings on there. That's what I think anyway. Good morning everyone and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. It's been a few days for me since I've been able to get back to this, and I was just catching up to where we were. We were on section 31. Okay, we were talking about the boats, so I'll just quickly work out whether I put them away or not. Okay, there's the boats there, so we clearly haven't taken them off. So I think what we were talking about last time was just the holders. I'll get that up for a second. We were talking about the holders here, to put them in the grey section, and a few of these other bits and pieces as well. So, okay, so now I know exactly where we're at. Let's tackle these one section at a time. Let's do this as one section, that one there is one section, and the boats is one section, and I think that's the best way we'll move forward if you're following along with the plan. So let's get these couple of C173 and C128s off. Okay, I was just having a quick look at these, and I was basically having a good look what was in it. Let's take that one out so it's not so confusing. You can see on here, where's my pointer? Okay, there's my pointer. So we have the tops of the boats, the hulls of the small boats, another couple more tops, and a couple more boats. It is early in the morning. What is it? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning. There's a boat holder there. Not really sure what that is. Got a couple of props. We have some rear of the lights. I already know that because I've already flipped it over. There's a truck there which I'm pretty sure we took off the other one. These pieces here, which is just part of that section I was talking about taking off. Yes, that's 173. There's a hook there, and I'm going somewhere with this. This is why I'm explaining it. What I'm trying to say is these are all little bits and pieces that technically could be painted a different colour, and these are hard to hang on to anyway, so I think you might know where I'm going with this. Let's just flip it over. There's the lights. I know the colour I like to use on the front of those already, so what I'm going to suggest is maybe while it's in the sprue, and there are two lots of them, there's the second one of C, maybe we should spray most of this in the darker colour. I tell you what I do know before we go any further with that. With things like the light, let me zoom in there. Here we go. I'll see if I can get in. With the lights, if you're going to paint them like that, clip them off here first, and then clip them off here to get that piece out the way. So then when you paint these actually end up with paint on top of them. So then when you cut them off here, that goes into the ship, and they look quite nice. You can't do that with every part, like these ones here you can't, but they generally go the bottom anyway. The boats, well, they're very small boats, and generally there's a left and a right, so you could face them inwards and just be very careful the way you cut them off. So what I'm trying to say is it's probably far easier to paint these whole C sprues in the darker grey because they are added on pieces. So I think we'll do that. But what I will do is I'll just prepare this section like I said. So I'll do that right now. Sorry, yeah. So I'll just do the same on this. So there we have the other side done. I'll just fix that last one up just a little bit. Okay, so that one's ready to go. We'll paint that now. So I've just mixed up a bit more grey. It's the last of the dark grey that I've got, so hopefully that'll do. Well, there's my C sprues. So what I'll do is I'll get ready and I'll start to paint all the bits and pieces on these, and I'll stop and show you as I'm doing it. Now I do know it's hard to see the grey on the grey, which is why I'm putting the white behind it. but you'll see they're a darker colour. Not by much, but it's a darker colour to stand out from the original plastic. So that is one side only, and we'll probably give that another coat anyway. So we'll do the other side as well. And there is the other side done. And again, it's hard to see on the plastic. I'll do another close-up on the bench, but they are slightly darker, and that's what we're after. We're just after a different transition of colour from the rest of the ship. So they stand out a bit more, they sort of pop. So that is one. We'll do the other one. So there is a side-by-side, one done. The right side is painted, the left side is a plastic. You can tell more on the boats that they are slightly darker, and that's what we're after. Well, there they are painted. They're not perfect. We just wanted a splash of colour on there, which is what we got. I did water down my paint a fair bit because I don't have much of it left and I've got to get some more. So that's a result of that. Here's the other side. So things like the lights and that, basically painted. Just need to do the front of them, the boats, some crane rigging, bits and pieces. Yeah, I may even still go back over and give it one more hit. Well, there we have our two sets of sprues nicely painted up. They look pretty good, and they're just enough different from the other grey than what's already on there, because there's the two greys. So I think they'll look pretty good, actually. Yeah, I was just having a look. We have the B sprue right here, what was left and what's sort of really on there. You can see what I can see, which is pretty much antennas. Looks like some kind of gun. That looks like a mast, which would probably be painted black, but if we put grey on it, and a few other bits and pieces. So what I'm going to suggest is, let's go around and paint this one as well. Well, let's put this one aside. Here is the G sprue, and I do believe this one here is not needed, because we grabbed this off another one. I think this one's a spare. We have one boat on here and a few other bits and pieces, so I reckon we're going to give that one a touch up as well. There is the other G one, which that's how I knew that other one was already being used, because we had to grab it from here in the first place. So there's one boat and a couple of bits and pieces on here. We're better off to do that while we're at it. Here is our F sprue, and there's really only, let me just zoom out here for a There's nothing really left on this one now, except for one piece here. And I don't really know what that's off yet. So I reckon that's structure. So I'm just going to leave that one. And here's our E sprue. And again, there's not much left on there either, except for, there's the rest of it. There's a couple of boats there. So while we're spraying boats and other bits and pieces on sea, let's do these last couple of ones on here as well. So I was just looking a little more further on section 33 and 34, which is just around the corner, and there's a whole heap of guns here on the D, which I didn't actually look at before. So while I've got all the paint gear out and we're going a slightly different colour, let's do all these guns as well. Okay, I just had a sneak look forward to the end, and I think now that most of this stuff is now pre-painted, we're going to be moving along a lot further now. We've only got a few pages left to go to the end of the ship anyway. I think we need to brown wash the floors with the ones that are open on the boats. Just sort of really looking at it, it's probably far easier to do it now than later. Yeah, and most of the other parts are all done. I'm sure you can see that a bit more clearer now, that they're quite darker, and that's what we're after. We're after something that matches the other grey but is a little darker. So I think we're chief. Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. I had to cut it short yesterday because of family time. So I just went through and had a look at what we had done. We had just finished sort of talking about the boats, and we painted all the parts. So what really needs to be done now is we need to paint the lights on the front here, and we also need to not whitewash, but we need to deck wash the boats here. So I think we'll get set up for that right after the coffee first. So there's our paint. We'll do our XF88. It doesn't have to be the same as before. We do need to mix this. So I'll quickly mix this up. So I've got a nice wet brush there. I just washed it out and then re-soaked it again. So using a nice wet brush, let's just take that off this, because we're not going to need much. Now we need a pipette. Let's get some of that. So now we're ready with our water wash. We've got some on the brush. Let's get rid of the excess. Let's just go through the center there and we'll just splatter that on just like that. Don't have to be too careful. As long as we're on the inside, the water wash will do the rest. It's probably enough to do that one there as well. Yep, there is. How many more boats on this one? None. These ones look like there's an extra piece that goes on them. So, oh yeah, there's a piece there. Oh yeah, so they would go on this one. Let's water wash that one as well, just for the sake of it. And there. Taking the top off. So let's let that one dry. And we'll do the same on this one here. And there's that one done. Let's get the next one. There's our next boat. We'll quickly do this one too. Just like that. And there's another G1 done. So moving along here nicely now. Two more boats here. There's another one done. I came back and I just decided to do the tops, because by the time I darken that, I think it'll just add a bit of contrast to those ones that don't really have flooring. So we'll see how that goes when it dries off. Well, there's all our boats now dried with the wash on it. Let's get the other stuff out and we'll just tone that down a little bit. So there is our Seidel flesh shade colour. Let's get some on the brush, take some of the excess off, and we'll do one on this one here. That'll just tone it down a little bit. Let's take some off there as well. Don't have to be too particular with this stuff. Let's do it across the top of this one here, and this one, and these. Why not? I find with this stuff here that you can't really go too thick with it. You can't go too thin with it. You kind of need it to sort of wash on there to sort of do its job properly. Just too thin, it just doesn't work. And then yeah, just sort of cover it on there like that. Let's just use the last little boats, because they were a little thin. And then when it dries, it sort of just dries nice. So you don't have to be too careful, just sort of splash it on just like that. We'll get the next one, we'll do exactly the same. So we'll put that on there, splash that on, and that's kind of the effect that you're after. So we'll put that one aside. Let's just roll with it while we're here. The next one, plenty on the brush. Plenty on there too. And that one's now done. So we're not really being too particular. And like I said, I'm just trying to show you how I do the quick wash with the water-based paints. Again, just that one on there. Cover that in the hull a little bit. And it was. So there's our boats all done, and I think what we'll do is we've got quite enough here for another episode. We'll call it a day here, and we'll continue on the next one. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We're moving along quite well, and we're probably going to be finished. will probably be finished in the next couple episodes. So until then, bye for now.